Rob, you're the best person to tell us a little about the origins of Hema, Henry and Margaret, your mum and dad, and the fabulous company they created.
Yeah, it's been pretty special, Sam, to watch the growth of this company over the last 40 years, from its inception back when Mum and Dad started a Hema charts and laminating business. Dad was door knocking, boat and tackle shops, selling brand new laminated maps, best thing ever since fishing hooks. And they just started exploring, which is what they'd always done. Like, they went on the honeymoon and they went to Lamington National Park and they went hiking. They've always loved going down roads they'd never been down before. So they started exploring Cape York and the Simpson Desert and going, hey, these maps that are available are pretty ordinary. We need to do something better.
And what was the next step that they took? How did they get the mapping really underway?
Employing a cartographer. That started with the Cape York map after their adventure up there. From then on, and that was in early 90s, they continued to choose one significant four-wheel drive touring destination after another. Cape York, Simpson Desert, Central Australia, the Kimberley, Fraser Island, which was an earlier connection with the Queensland Government Mapping Authority. Henry convinced them Fraser Island needs a map. We need to make a good map of Fraser Island. And they're like, all right, well, what if we make it and you sell it, Hema? So,
fantastic.
Let's do that. So I got involved in the business around after I did a geology degree, early 90s. And Dad pretty much gave me a laptop and a GPS and said, Rob, we need to go and do one map after another, go out and figure it out, learn along the way. And from there on, we started connecting lines and dots, if you like. We did one road and one track after another and eventually connected that into a national database of about 1.5 million kilometres of roads and tracks, 4 million kilometres of roads in total. But it was really special to be part of a company that just helped unlock all of outback Australia. We went out there and thought, well, we've got to get the most accurate information to empower our customers with information they can trust so they can explore with confidence. And we didn't necessarily do the maths on how it might all work out commercially. We just thought, we've just got to do this for the country. The whole Great Desert Tracks expedition in 1998 came after Henry and Margaret were over in the Pilbara doing some field work. They wanted to come across the middle of Australia. And once again, they're like, we don't have confidence in the maps out here. Dad came back and said, Rob, we've got to go and map this whole area. Can you go out and get it done?
And that was a big thing for the company because of the involvement of all the staff, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was enormous, Sam, because we engaged as many people that wanted to be involved in the team as possible. We trained them up in the mapping process, four-wheel drive training, recovery, first aid, all of that. And we sent them out 2 by 2, one vehicle at a time, 2 weeks at a time. And collectively, we remapped the whole of the Australian outback. That reset all of our cartographic processes. We put it all in connected database, which set a course for the company to have the most accurate, detailed maps, so that when the advent of GPS and moving map displays and then eventually apps, our maps were already so accurate.
And you've just mentioned GPS, Rob. I joined the company 15 years ago when the GPS was our very first one, was just about to be released into the marketplace. It was an enormous leap for a small company to digitise and then present this on a screen. You were so involved with all of it. Tell us a little about that significant jump.
Well, it's huge, Sam. Our customers kept asking us. They said, hey, we want Hema Maps in our Sahara in-dash unit. We want it on our PND, one on our GPS. So we tried to convince other people this needs to be done for our customers. Customers need it. So we took the big risk of going off and finding an electronics manufacturer that could couple together decent hardware with the best maps available and put it all in one device. And that set the course for the next couple of decades in terms of the Hema Navigator.
Yeah.
A few years later, we put all those same maps into the 4-wheel drive Maps app, which continues to be one of the best-selling navigation apps around. But Sam, it's always come back to, as you know, just having great maps that are accurate, that people can trust, that gives them the confidence to explore.
You've also been instrumental because of this behaviour you've picked up from Mum and Dad of exploring, passing that on to people around you. It's one of the things in the company that we love to do.
We do, yeah. I mean, one of the most exciting things for me is to see other people go. they back themselves and they just go and do it.
Yeah.
That brings joy to my heart.
The joy I had today was being stopped yet again by people who came up and said, I've just been to, or I've used your map, or tell me about where it goes, or how do I get a job at Hema driving around the countryside doing all of this stuff. So we are fortunate, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they come with their road atlas that's got all these highlights of everywhere they've been, and they say, oh, this changed or that changed. I said, oh, I can give you a new one. They're like, no, we love this one because it's connected with all our special memories of where we've been. We don't want to let it go.
I've had that at Alice Springs. I can remember that very clearly too. One of the things that you created for the Great Desert Tracks maps was the Map Patrol. It's been a core extension of our brand, hasn't it, Rob? It's been an extension of self in many ways. How has that developed across time?
I guess the thing that's never changed about it is the need to go out and capture really accurate, detailed information and then present that in a map. That's been the heart of the Map Patrol from the start. We can't trust the other information from all these different sources. We need to go and validate it and confirm it for ourselves. That's been at the heart of what the Map Patrol's been about. Accurate data and confirming it for ourselves. That has morphed and grown in terms of the technology advancements, GPS accuracy. The Map Patrol for many years now has had a GPS on board that's been half-metre accurate. It can live stream into our fully connected network database, which provides for turn-by-turn, full guidance information. So the technology's enabled, I guess, the outcomes in terms of data and maps and customer engagement, but the core role of the Map Patrol has never changed.
Do you know one of the things that I love the most is when our chums say to us, but haven't we mapped Australia yet? Surely we've done this joint over. But apart from the obvious things like new roads, new bridges, and dual namings, recognising Indigenous heritage and all of that lovely transition about presenting information, what I love is what the customers ask us to present into our information and content. Can I go there with a dog? Is it kid friendly? Can I empty my pooper there? All of these things that explorers, tourers, travellers, not just four-wheel drivers, want to find out about. And so what I love is we're just adding more layers and more layers and more layers to our original cartographic presentation and data set. And so actually, my response to them is, no, we're never going to stop doing this job because someone's going to find a different way to do it or take different stuff with them.
Which is kind of special, Sam, to know that you're part of a company and have a role in a job that never ends, in a job that's actually so wonderful and so value adding to the four-wheel drive community.